Hey, Riaz. Sassy. Hey. Look, I'm playing around. I just got a new phone, so I don't want that on there. Anyway, how y'all doing? I know it's been forever since I've been on here, and probably it'll be forever again. But I've been meaning to come on here and touch bases with everybody. Because I do be missing y'all. I don't want this on here. I don't go trying to be grown. Chilling out, huh, young Riaz? Hey, Marissa. Hey, girl. Hey. I miss you too. I miss you. Man, I miss y'all for real. Hey, Sassy. Everything is good. I just had to get away and, well, I be working a lot now, but YouTube is a lot. So I'm like, nah. Sometimes you got to refocus, you know what I'm saying? Because you'll find your mind caught up in things that it just don't need to be. You know what I mean? So I did some things to shift my, I ain't gonna say my algorithm, but what I see, what I don't see. Stepped away from a whole lot of stuff. I used to listen to, I don't. Um, just to get your mind right, because what we take in, sometimes we'll start to produce. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely didn't want to get on the side of producing riffraff, chaos, and all that stuff. I'm not a chaotic person, so my presence in chaos is not needed. And it's a lot of it, and it's not just YouTube, it's all over, you know what I mean? um so I'm not being definite, well, yeah, I'm not really being specific to um a sector, but including the sector that I'm raveled up in. It's all the sectors, trust me. I've been everywhere, and I'm like, oh, they do it over here too. But it's a cold, cold world out here. You know what I mean? And I'm just trying not to get caught up in it, not of it. You know how that goes. In it, not of it. I'm on a journey, so therefore I don't want to be dipping off and taking. Why in the world is this thing here? I guess I can't take it off now that I started to lie. But yeah, just a break, and then like I said, I've been really working on my brand and getting my footing in the hair game here in Norfolk, and it's been going extremely well. Um, it's funny because I remember before I spending this time thinking like, all right, what's my niche here? How do I get in? What's gonna set me apart? What sets me apart is me. Thank you, hon. It's not some grand gesture. It's not some she do this when everybody doesn't. It's just doing me, you know what I mean? And what I found was when you take a step back from things, whatever it is you're doing, like far as your business or work or whatever the case may be, you take a step back from things and ask God for clarity. That's what happens. You gain clarity. Why did I put this thing on here? I wonder if I can go out and take this little referral link thing off. I didn't know what it was, so I just put it on the thing. But you take a step back to gain clarity. So I took like 16 steps back because I got a lot going on. Okay. It's like, um, You got to have some balance. You know what I mean? We got to have some balance in life, because if you don't, you'll just be everywhere. And before you know it, you'll be in the middle of some chaos. So, yeah, it took me about 16 steps back and got a little, focused. I don't think I wasn't focused, but sometimes you got to refocus, just like when you got a camera and you're taking a picture, you've taken several pictures, but then for some shots, you have to refocus that lens to capture what it is you're trying to capture. So in order for me to capture the things that I'm trying to capture, I had to refocus, and put some things over here in the to do now, and then some of these things to do later, and some of these things to never do. Get that mess up out of here, and and when you do that, that also allows for clarity. It's no different than, I think I've talked about on here, when you clean your closet and it makes the room seem so much clearer, and you just breathe easier. Even if you close those doors and you can't see the clutter in your closet, it still produces a cluttered feeling that you won't know it's there until you declutter. So I decluttered. I'll be like, man, these niggas get on my nerves. And only to see it, just like, don't nobody get tired. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody get tired. And that's the place that I am in. If it's something that's not productive in my life, something that's not adding value, something that's not helping me to grow, that's not teaching me, because I'm going to be a student forever in life. I would never, ever, ever know everything. So if I'm going to be a lifetime student, then I got to be places where it's fruitful and I can multiply my understanding, my knowledge, my wisdom. So spaces and places that I'm not gaining that, I have no business in, you know. I'm a whole big 52 years old. What they say, when I was a child, I did childish things. But when you become a man, no, I was kidding. You throw those things away, you know. I like shiny, fun things too, but enough is enough. I'm trying to shake some things into my legacy. So what's been going on? I got an iPhone. No, I'm just kidding. I can't believe I got an iPhone. That is just so tragic to me. But I needed it for business purposes. Yes, ma'am, Sassy. Is is I'm old and I figured that out. I mean, I'm not like elderly or nothing like that, but you get called old hoes on YouTube enough, you'll accept it. Just as long as people know that none of us get younger. You know what I mean? It's like everywhere I go, people like, oh, these old people. I'm like, you like two shakes away from old yourself, ma'am, sir. But yeah, I guess we all have maturity spurts forever. You know what I'm saying? And it's not saying that we're immature. It's saying when you grow, when you outgrow things, just like clothes, you don't wear those two little clothes. Now, sometimes you, like me, you wish you can get back in some of them clothes, but figuratively, I can't fit those jeans, so I can't wear them. So when you outgrow spaces, you have to move around because that's perfect. I was just reflecting the other day on, you guys were there with me when I came out of the salon and went into the suites, and I would have came on camera, but I just woke up not too long ago and my hair looked crazy. But y'all remember I went into the suites out of the salon, and my biggest thing was, I'm not growing in this shop. I don't think this place is going to produce what I need. And it was a whole toss up for me because I didn't want the man to think that I hit it and quit it. No, I'm just kidding. Not literally, people. But when I say that, I mean, he done a lot for me. He allowed me to work there before I got my credentials, and he never pressed me about it. He didn't charge me for a period of time because he understood I was trying to build. And when it came time to give some money, he let me say, can I do this and that? And he accepted it. So he was very fair to me. So when I realized it wasn't gonna work, it felt kind of awkward saying, "Hey, I'm gonna move on." Because one look around, you see, I ain't did much of nothing. Where you moving on to? But I had to really um come to the understanding that for my career, I have to make this decision because it's like I said, I'm 52. Me in the business, I'm a vet. I'm an old dog. You know what I'm saying? And thank God I still learn new tricks, but I can roll with the young ones. But if I'm gonna spend the last part of my career and it be a successful stint, then I gotta move around. Hey Gary, I gotta move around to make it conducive to what I'm trying to do, right? So yeah, I made a decision. And just like I was talking about them jeans a minute ago, I was saying in that place, I'm not gonna grow. You know how we have a plant in. Once that plant gets to we get that plant, it's small and we nurture it and we feed it and it begins to grow. You put the sunlight on it and it gets bigger and bigger. And now this thing is hanging out the pot. You gotta change the pot, right? So I was that plant, but I think I was always too big for that pot. I squeezed in there and tried to make it work. And it served its purpose. You know what I mean? It gave me a space to begin to market. It gave me a space to gain a few clients. Um, and then it was like, okay, now we have to move in faith, right? So by faith, January 13th, I made the decision to go into my salon suite. I think y'all were with me along on the ride sometime when I went out looking for suites. I'm not sure. Or I was talking to Diane Osborne one. I don't know. But anyway, um, my faith move was, you know what? I'm going into this suite no matter what. The price was sweet, SWEET. And it felt right. So I went into the suite January 13th, well, 14th, and I got it to working condition by that weekend because I had clients coming. And ever since that week, I've gained between 1 and 2 clients. I would say averaging 2 clients per week ever since. Like, not one week have I not gotten a new client. I think this week so far I haven't had any new people booked, but this is the first week since January, that week of the 13th, that I haven't gained new people. And I'm grateful. You know what I'm saying? Because that was God's nudge to me when he was telling me to get out this shop. Not necessarily get out this shop, but time to move on. Yeah, that sounds better. It was time to move on. And I've had a history of sticking around too long. I literally had a shop in Charleston that it was mine. I had a partner. We had a shop together. And God began to tell me to move along, you know, go ahead and move. And I'm like, this is mine, dude. And I stayed past that time. I wasn't obedient in that moment when I first started hearing it. I was told in a church service. I mean, it was crazy. And I just couldn't fathom, how does God want me to leave my own business? And yeah, I stayed past that day and my health, you know what I'm saying? It was like stress took a toll on me. So when I started to feel like I needed to move from that shop here, I remembered that. I said, no, even though I need to lose some weight, I don't want to ever look like that again because I looked sickly. That's not a good way to do it. So with the thoughts in my head, my mentor, I remember I wanted to go into a shop that was 200 a week, but I was not trying to pay no $200. And she like, well, if you want God to enlarge your territory, you got to go into larger territory. And I'm like, yeah, but I ain't going into that territory. But sometimes those conversations weren't for that moment, but they are for such a time as this, as they would say in the Lord's house. and and then the other thing she always say, you have not because you ask not. It was those things, my faith. I got to step into larger territory if I want God to enlarge my territory. And I have not because I ask not. Okay, I need new clients, Lord. And my prayer is always and always will be, God, you know those clients that you have for me and you know exactly what they need. I am your willing vessel. Use my hands, you style the hair so that they may receive everything that they need from you, whether it's by touch, whether it's through conversation, whether it's just through the atmosphere. Have your way. Boom. Every client that comes to me says, uh, I've been looking for a client for months. I cannot find nobody to do my hair. And I just pray, God, please help me find a stylist. That's my confirmation, right? So it is so important to be intentional. You know, we can say bad things and it happen, and we be like, oh my God, I said this and I shouldn't have said that, or whatever the case may be. But how quickly do we say the exact things that we need? We'll say negative things easily out of our mouth. And then when they manifest, we freaking out. So if I shift my speaking, not saying I was asking for negative things, but I'm being specific in everything that I'm doing business wise. Okay, I need clients. God knows I need clients. So therefore I want him to send the clients that he want me to staff. And he also give me the nudge to speak to ladies in the street and talk about their hair, whatever the case may be. But it's been good. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited because when I went in there, my faith said, all right, you got 5 good semi-consistent clients. So you may have to pay out your pocket a little bit until it grows, and I accepted that. You know what I'm saying? And absolutely, sassy, I accepted that. And I think I probably had to use my Amazon check twice. And it was like to make up the difference, but after that, I make it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still not there. But what I'm saying is, with obedience, with faith and consistency, it's working out. And you know, that's how God works. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's that easy. The hardest part is actually doing those things, taking the steps. It's taking the steps. And a lot of times I think it's fear that'll keep us from taking those steps. I think it's procrastination. I think it's being busybodies. You're doing everything else except for, a lot of us get caught up in doing things for others. That's a good attribute to have, but it's not good at the expense of not doing things for yourself. You can't back burner yourself so that you can be there for your adult children. You can't back burner yourself so you can do absolutely everything for even, I mean, thought I turned my ringer off. Your spouse should be pushing you into your goals and dreams, not pulling you away, or your significant other, whichever you have. Um, yes, we're supposed to be there for others. Yes, we're supposed to help and assist others, but not at the expense of neglecting yourself, not at the expense of coming off your walk, being distracted um, along the way from what you're supposed to be doing. Sometimes coming back to it later ain't always a good thing. Sometimes you come back later and it's like you never left. So, with all that being said, the whole time when I was contemplating, no, I ain't get no spouse. Man, that's crazy. If I had a spouse, I would have told you, Gary. You're silly. I was just speaking in general. And a lot of people do, especially women. I don't know about men because I'm not a man, but I see it more from women. They put down everything. You have women that'll say, I took off so he could go to school and finish. I put my career on the back burner until our kids got to a certain age. And then next thing you know, I wish I had a done this. I never got the opportunity to do that. When there's ways around it, you know what I mean? And vice versa. I mean, I've seen a few men do that too. I put her through school first, and then I got done, and she didn't want to do it no more. Like, I think we should work together. And we do better. You know what I mean? Teamwork makes the dream work. But nevertheless, I was just reflecting um and thinking about my journey so far here in Norfolk. And no, I'm not speaking nothing into existence. It's not time. Uh, definitely not time. I ain't ready, Gary. But yeah, as I was saying, being specific is a thing. When you're specific, God answers specifically. You know, and don't let him come and say, "All right, I'm gonna give you that, but I'm gonna do it a little bit better than what you asked for, because I don't think you know." So I take every opportunity in that suite to do what I feel God wants me to do. I've created a cool space for the ladies. It's great conversation. It's positive vibes all the time. We have fun. We laugh. I think that I'm going to start a little group because I listen to my clients. Some of them are saying like, I don't even go anywhere. I don't really got no friends to hang out with. I'm like, all right, let's start something. Have a stylist client brunch once a month or something. Do those things. So it's going to come together. My friend was telling me something about how you can make events at places and people can buy tickets. I don't know. That's maybe in the future, but I've been brainstorming with some things. Um, I'm just thankful that I recognize that it's not always what well, I know I recognize that because Gary, you was there from day one. Sometimes it is what it is, but it ain't the way you thought or the way you think it's going to go. And it just was time for me to get out of that space and go into my own space. And it was time for me to put on my big girl drawers and start being specific about what I needed. Because if I don't put it out there the way I need it, it ain't gonna come to me that way. At least if I put it out there the way I feel I need it, God can bring it to me and blow my mind with his way. I think God is always gonna blow our mind. What they say, he do it exceedingly and abundantly. That's what I'm trying to walk in. That exceeding. Oh my God. You know what I'm trying to say. The abundance, man. Above all things. I want it all. Everything the Lord has for me, I want it. So what does that mean? I have to, walk a little bit better. I have to um monitor what comes into my ear gates and eye gates. I have to check what I allow my heart to participate in or partake in. I have to cross my T's and dot my I's. You know, sometimes we get so comfortable and that's saying, Jesus, take the wheel. You look up and you've been driving for many, many miles. And I'm not saying that's my case, but I think I was just overthinking a lot of things. And we know overthinking, people wear that like a badge. I'm an overthinker. And I used to do that, but I'm like, no, I'm not an overthinker. I'm just not doing what the heck I'm supposed to be doing. I think too much. So therefore, I got to stop thinking about 50 ways to do a thing instead of doing it. Hey, double double. I got to stop thinking so much because I could sit here and think for 3 years and never do something. So being an overthinker, people, is not a badge of honor. It's not something to brag about. It might mean you're a scaredy cat or you might have some fear present. And if we have fear present, then we want to get rid of that. We want to ask God to remove all fear from our heart and our mind so that we can move forward and do the things that we need to do versus just sitting there thinking. You know, you could be so analytical, you trick yourself out of a spot. Everything has to make sense. If it don't make sense, everything that God tell you to do or has for you isn't going to make sense. That's the whole point. But I mean, I guess if you don't know God, you don't understand that. But yeah, it's not gonna make sense. It might not even make sense to you. But the thing is, we'll have a thing we're doing and it'll make sense to us, but then we'll worry about what other people gonna think. We'll because we want it to make sense to them too. It's not their job to be doing, it's yours. So instead of sitting there thinking like everybody gonna think I'm crazy, I wonder if people gonna. Well, what if they think? Oh man, we got to stop doing that. Especially nowadays, y'all looking around at the world. It's funny out here. My sister stylists have a get together for her clients once a month. They all pitch and bring something. That is cool. I wish I had a like. I can't wait till I get like a big house and I can maybe have like 6 people over. Right now, we ain't got space for the 3.5 that be here. But I'm game for linking up. I don't know, maybe I could start a pot and then at the end of the month when we take our outing, we can use what's in the pot and then, we'll make up a difference at the thing. Or maybe I'll be able to make it in the future. I pray God will allow me to make up a difference. Hey, whatever the case, that's here nor there. But yeah, man, being an overthinker is not a badge of honor because I just had to think about that. I'm like, how many times I've been like, because I'm an overthinker. Guess what? You are an overthinker because you say you are an overthinker. I think that's what the enemy wants. He wants to trick you out your spot by having you. He ain't doing it. It's you get in your head and to make you say these things that you add on to your life. And then you end up wondering, why is it like this? Why is this going this way? It's everything you're saying. It's everything you're saying. If you're speaking the opposite of what you want to see, then you got to check it. I don't even think I was speaking the opposite with my situation as far as my business. I just wasn't speaking it. I'm steady worrying about how I'm going to kick down the door in the city and how I'm going to be known and what's my niche. And my niche is short hair. Duh. Call yourself short hair specialist talking about what's your niche. How crazy is that? You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Being an overthinker will have you overlooking the very thing that you're looking for in your face. It'll be right in your hand and you be holding on to it and talking about, where is it at? Y'all ever had y'all glasses on your head talking about where my glasses go? Yeah, that type of stuff. Man, I remember having an ink pen in my mouth talking about what I do with that pen. Saying this with a pen in my mouth talking about what I do with the pen. We don't want to live like that. um double double I had gave up my little short quick testimony about when I stepped out on faith and was obedient to moving into my salon suite, how I went in there with 5 semi-consistent clients, and now every week I gain between 1 and 3 new clients. And there's no Not like in Charleston, man, somebody be like, dang, she pricey, man. These people, they just pay. There's no complaints. There's no, and I'm like, you got to have confidence as an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been in a place where you're scared to say your prices, or you might dumb it down because you think that person on the other end is gonna be like, "What the hell?" But no, I'm like, I'm glad I got past all of that stuff this far in in my time in the industry. But there's still that thing where I would go and look at my prices and be like, "Should I take this down?" And I stop. You know, I stopped doing that. This woman, this is how God would teach you. This lady booked an appointment one day. It's a new client. And I tell you, she's a every weeker. That's what I love about this man. Like everybody that has come, I think it's maybe like two. I don't see two or three, maybe. I'm not sure. But um, she booked an appointment. It was her first time booking. And when I looked on there to see what she's getting, because what I'm implementing is being personable with my clients, because I know in this industry, ladies, y'all, if y'all go to the hairdresser, y'all know we got the online booking, and a lot of stylists don't want to talk. They just want you to book. You can't call them, you can't that. They want a deposit and you can't call them. I don't get it. That's not how I operate. So when I got here, I'm not good at taking a book with writing in a book. I would. Mm-mm. I've never in 30 years I haven't been able to keep a book. I used to memorize all my appointments, but I ain't got that same memory. But for the sake of building clientele, yes, I use the online booking site because they find me clients too. But soon as someone books, I immediately reach out to them, introduce myself, tell them how cool it is to meet them, and ask what they're expecting from their service. Is there any inspiration pics? I become a person to them. I become a girlfriend, you know what I'm saying? And they always be like, "Oh my God, thank you for reaching out. Can I call you?" Is you hear it in the questions, "Can I call you?" Like, yeah. It's crazy. So after they book on there, I tell them you can book there, or I'll book, let me know when you want to come and I'll book you. So I give them that old school vibe, when you used to call your stylist on the phone and you ask for an appointment and she put you in her book. Yeah. So the lady booked, and when I looked at her thing, it was like $265. And I'm like, what the hell is in my book that somebody could be getting for $265? I'm like, hmm. And I looked at it, and I was like, okay, I don't think she booked wrong. But of course, I had to have a conversation, because sometimes you can book something and it don't be the right thing. And it wasn't really that she booked wrong, but it was excessive because of what I was going to do. It was like she booked right, but nah, it still felt like a double booking to me. So I figured out what I was going to do with that. Boom. Definitely wasn't 265, and it definitely was closer to 200, but it wasn't 265. But the point was, what I learned from that situation is, even if I didn't have that thing that said, "No, I'm not about to do this to this lady," because everybody else would have did it, and I could have did it. Um, what I learned from that situation is, she was willing to come in there and pay me 265 because she booked the appointment. That's all I need to know. You know what I'm saying? So, um, like I said, I would go and look at other prices, because I like to stay in the middle of the high and the low. But like I said, it's just that thing right there let me know. You know what? You have to be fair to people. You can't just bust their heads because you can. And they appreciate it. You know what I mean? That same lady, every time she comes, she's gonna tip me $25, $30. And she comes every week. So I'd rather have that than charge somebody $265 and see them once a month. Is the gratitude element is missing from a lot of businesses. Everybody want to make a business. Half the people don't. They're not um approachable, for their consumers. So it's like, how you trying to sell me something, but you stink? You got a stank attitude, or you don't respond to the questions and things like that. So I go above and beyond to have great customer service, and that all comes with you being strategic. You know what I mean? We have to be so strategic in life right now. If you really want to see the things that you're hoping for, it's on you. It's not 5 years from now. Be like, dang, I wish that would have happened. Well, now you have to ask yourself, why didn't it? And that's what I had to start asking myself. Okay, you don't have clients coming like you want them. Why don't you? Because you need to change where you're at, because this place doesn't fit you. And that's okay. And then I begin to ask, send me the clients. You do the hair. I'm here to be your servant. And what he do? He starts sending me the clients. And how do I know? Because everyone tells me, I prayed, God send me a client, or God help me find a stylist. It goes together. He lets you know he's listening. He lets you know he's listening. So yeah, man, that's what's been going on with the business. I'm growing, I'm flourishing, and I'm gonna continue in that aspect. I had got a dryer from this man who was closing his shop, and I got it off a marketplace on Facebook. And he was so just in the comments, I was like, this man loved God, because he was just like, yeah, I just hope he could bless someone, and So I ended up getting. He had like 4 dryers, but he was only able to let me get one at the time because he's trying to sell everything, but they were still working there through April. So I'm like, bet. I'm like, well, when you ready to let go of the other ones, let me know so I can get another one. But we went and got the dryer, and the man was so kind, and he gave it to me for hardly nothing. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna make money off this thing because I believe it's anointed. That's what I believe, and I stuck it in my room. Boom. I think somebody bought all the stuff, so I wasn't able to get the next one. So I started my look again. What I do? Find another nice lady yesterday. Her mother used to have a salon in the house, and she had some dryers. Gave it to me for a little or nothing. And I said the same thing about this dryer. This dryer is anointed. This gonna make me a lot of money. And I stuck it in the room. It don't match my decor. But it's gonna serve its purpose. You know what I'm saying? You might not match the task at hand, but you gotta serve your purpose. You might not look like a fit to everybody around you, but you serve a purpose. So we gotta walk in our own faith, not the faith of others. We can't walk in things thinking like, what is everyone gonna think? Or what if it don't work and everybody's watching? We gotta keep moving. We gotta keep moving. I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to get to the end and be like, damn, I ain't do 50% of what I said I wanted to do. It's like, why not? We got one chance. Because when it's done, it's done. I'm going to see Chris Brown, y'all. But I thought about that when Double said amen, because I know he's on that live last year when that lady was like, Chris Brown sold out. Not this time, baby. Y'all, let me tell you, I'm gonna veer away from what I was getting ready to say for a quick second because this is a funny little story. Listen, I was on a pre-sale list for Ticketmaster, right? So I got on there, man. When I tell y'all, I was looking like, what am I doing? Tickets was flying so fast. And I'm like, oh my God, I ain't gonna get a ticket. I'm in the tomorrow when they go on regular sale, these tickets gonna double in prices. I was freaking out. Okay. So as I was trying to get it, because my friend gonna do them on Klarna, bet we good. So I get to going and I finally find a ticket. She sends a screenshot of the code I gotta put in. I get kicked out the thing. I gotta go back in. Now all the tickets that I was trying to get is gone. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. So suddenly there was a new one. They said pre-sale for another show added, which is the next day. And I'm like, oh, I click on the link to get in the pre-sale and they was already on sale. So I think if you was already in the pre-sale for the The one on the day I was trying to get, they let you in a day early. When I tell you I got to the checkout, she on the phone with me, give me the code. Boom. Klarna won't let her charge it, even though she had enough paying power. I'm like, what is going on? And I was sitting there like, yeah, I don't need smoke cigarettes. I was like, I think I need a cigarette. So I'm like, send me the money back I sent you. I was like, this ticket gonna be here. I went to the store, put the money back on my chime. Oh, put some more money on my chime because I'm like, I found a ticket that was good enough that I could just pay it out, right? Though I wanted to be down where the $400 tickets was, no, I'm good. Put me in the house. I ain't at the top, and I ain't at the bottom. But I got to the store. I was just calm and patient. Got back in the car. Found even a better ticket than the one I was trying to get, and I got my tickets. But when I tell y'all, my adrenaline was so. I don't ever want to feel that again. I was like, this it. I can't do this no more. And I was shaking. I had to go get me a cocktail. But I'm going to see Chris Brown. Anywho, back to my dryer story. They don't match, but I don't care. I'm gonna go get me some cute pillows and we gonna make it do what it do. Um, Another little testimony I got about how good God is. A few Sundays ago, I was cause our church we moved to a new building and I haven't went yet. I need to get back to going, but I haven't went yet. But I would always catch them on live stream, and they haven't started streaming. So in the time that they haven't been streaming, I've been watching Pastor, what's his name? Philip Anthony Mitchell. Yeah. Y'all probably seen him on here. Dark skinned dude, bald head, real aggressive New Yorker. I've been watching him because that man be teaching straight Bible and I like that. But on this particular Sunday, I couldn't even focus on the service. And I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on. What is wrong with me? I just felt very antsy, super antsy. And I'm like, man, something I don't know. Okay. I think the Lord want more from me. I just like he pressing on me. It's something going on. I couldn't pinpoint it. And so I started going down the list of things that I've been saying I need to do. All right. I'm gonna do that. Okay, I'm doing that. I'm like, I'm just gonna get more focused. I'm just trying to figure it out. Why am I feeling this way? And y'all have heard me say I need to get more consistent with prayer. So I mean, at this point, I'm freaking out. I'm not really freaking out, but I'm going through all these emotions because it's like this strong um pull on me. And I'm like, it bring tears because I'm like, I don't know, double you probably know when you get a tug on you from God, when he's trying to get you to do something, it's not comfortable, right? I was very uncomfortable. But I'm like, man, I know he's not doing this to me for nothing. I gotta figure out what it is. So a little while later I had sat out on the porch. And the thought, I got to pray more, came to mind. But instead of me just saying it or thinking it, I began to pray. And I prayed for my bonus daughter. I prayed for my honey. I prayed for, it was like a specific order. But I prayed for them two first. Then it went to his other kids. Then it went to me and my kids, my sister. I went down the list. So thank you, honey. And by the time I said, I pray these things in Jesus' name, amen. About 3, 4 minutes later, I get a phone call. Hey, I need you to come down the street and get her. I've been in an accident. My dude and his daughter were in an accident. And I'm sitting there like, are y'all good? He like, yeah, but just come down here. They was right down the street from home. You know how they say accidents happen a couple of blocks away from home? Yeah, literally. I could have walked down there. I'm a calm person, so I'm not the one that usually freaks out. So I didn't freak out. I got in my car and drove down the street till I found him. And he was in his work van and it wasn't his fault, but um Young man had come out, like tried to cross across the street before, tried to beat the car across the street to go straight across, and yeah, he lost that. And it's like, oh, it was like, okay, I see him. He's angry because his child was in the car. I see the boy's father, he got there, he must have called his parents, and he's trying to calm my dude down. And I'm like, mm-mm. I said, don't do that. I'm like, it was an accident. I get how you're feeling, but it's not your fault. So we want to keep the sights on the main thing. You're not in an at fault accident. The boy is 19. He ain't been driving that long. We got to give him some grace. Excuse me. So she was okay. I checked her, made sure that she was cool. Check all her phalanges. No, I'm just kidding. So then the man started to cry, the boy's father. So my dude, like, that MF over there crying. I'm like, oh my God. He over there crying. And I told him, I said, well, you know how you was just mad because his son ran out in front of you because your daughter was in the car? I said, well, he probably just sat there and processed. My child could have lost his life today. Because when I tell y'all, if that baby would have came out 10 seconds sooner, I don't think he would have been here, you know, because it was the impact was on the rear driver's side. So you see what I'm saying? If he would have came out a few seconds sooner, that boy probably wouldn't have made it because my dude was in a van, a big old box van. You know what I mean? Like a. So I'm like, in that moment, I understand we had two fathers that were feeling emotions concerning their children. You know what I mean? One had anger, the other had like a relief. I guess he was, you know what I'm saying? He was like probably in that moment thinking like, "Oh my God, my child could have been gone." That's enough to make anybody cry. I would cry at the thought of my kids not. So needless to say, I was explaining to his daughter. I said, "Do you know what I was doing right before your daddy called?" I said, "I was praying for y'all." And she said, first she was thinking it was her fault because, well, she was saying if grandma wouldn't have told us to hurry up and go, then it wouldn't happen. I said, no, that's not the way that works. It's not grandma's fault. Then when I said I was praying, she was like, well, it didn't work. I said, no, it worked. I said, sometimes things are going to still happen. I was like, but when we pray, it doesn't have to be as bad as it could have been. And it was like at that moment, I realized that whole time I was over here in torment. That was that push to intercession. You can't ignore those little feelings you get or that thought you have that you think is your subconscious. Sometimes God will pull you, push you, tap on you for a reason. You know what I mean? And we can't neglect the thought that it may be to save your loved one's life. My prayer could have been the reason why that child didn't go out 10 seconds early, or it could have been why their van didn't turn over. Whatever the case may be, you got to give honor and glory to God in all things because He's a protector. You know what I'm saying? He protects us from all things. And sometimes you don't know what you're praying for or what you're praying about, but you got to pray, and that was my lesson. I got to stop being a procrastinator in that area because we never know, who's not praying, and we don't want to be a part of that crew. Like, I believe that a lot of times that, intercessory, I don't know if you guys understand, but when you're an intercessor, your prayers sometimes are for the world, the policeman. It's for someone you may never know. Sometimes you don't know why you're praying what you're praying, but it's for something or someone. So I know that I'm a product of someone's prayers. I know somewhere there's an intercessor that's praying, and it's a prayer that's dispatched for me. So therefore, I don't want to ignore my nudges to pray because I know that attached to my prayer is for someone else. But that was like, man, once again, God showed me. You know what I mean? He shows you every time. Like, I don't care what it is. He's going to show you what he did, why he did. You have understanding. You know, how I'll pray, God, give me wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I have an understanding that you're going to poke me. You're going to make me uncomfortable because I'm supposed to be praying. But thankful to God, like I said, no one was hurt, not even the young guy. But yeah, it's instances like that that let you know there is a God. Some people don't believe in God. Some people don't, oh yeah, I know I believe in a higher power, but no, I'm not sold on this Jesus. Well, I am. I'm sold on Jesus because it says there's no way through the Father except there's no way to the Father except through his son Jesus. So, I don't know how people feel about that, but it's something to ponder upon if you don't understand that, you know. Even when you praying, pray these things in my name. Do we get a prayer to the Father without having the Son? I believe we can pray to God if we have the Son in our heart, if you've accepted Jesus, but I'm not sure on getting prayers there without Jesus in your heart. hmm But anywho, yeah, that was my little testimony. Family is safe. Um, yeah, that van, he need a whole new grill and some other things. His eyeball popped out, but thank God it was the van and not my people, or not any of the people. Oh yeah, took out the old man's porch, his railing on the porch, got them together. But yeah, that was a thing. But it reminds me how sometimes when you think you're doing something and you might have that feeling like, man, I'm not close to God. I've gotten away from God. But it's stuff like that that reminds that tells me like, no, you're not far away. I'm still touching on you. I'm still tapping on you. You just gotta move on those things. You gotta pay attention to when it's happening. I don't think he stops. We stop. We stop. We get comfortable in those nudges feel normal. You adjust to them. So therefore, when you getting poked on, it doesn't feel like anything abnormal. But on this particular day, I thought he was gonna rip my whole guts out. Okay, I'm like, oh my goodness, what is wrong? So no, God is good. You know, He really does make a way out of no way. He really do provide. He really is a healer. He is a protector. He gives us peace. He gives us everything we need. With God, we are able to do everything. Without Him, we can do nothing. You can be running on fumes. Your car can run until the gas run out. Then what? At some point, it's gonna happen for all of us. We're gonna have to pick a side. Pick a side. Whose side you on? The Lord's or Lucy's over there? I don't even know why I use that name, but y'all know what I'm saying. Anywho, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to come on here for real, and talk to y'all. I am still here. I'm just not very active. Um, I will be a little more active on here. I'm probably not gonna be on that hair page much. I'm not sure, but I'm just gonna stick to my purpose on this page. I'm here to motivate and uplift, and I'm a hairstylist. This was originally my page that I filmed hair on, so I'm gonna keep it the same. And now that I got my new phone, I'll be able to do my videos and things. So I'll have some stuff coming soon. Y'all can come to work with me and all that good stuff. I am still excited. As usual, I'm glad for everybody that has pulled up today to say, hey, I miss y'all a lot. Like I said, I'm around. I'm just not in a lot of places. I miss doubled a lot because I be knocked out. And yes, I still work at Amazon, but I only work there between Sunday and Wednesday. So even if I go one day, it has to be within those days, except for the day I'm going because I have a need that I have to take care of. So therefore I gotta go get some coins. That's the beauty of being on flex. If I need something, then I can just pick up a shift. So that's how that goes. But I have been able to work less at Amazon. I have more of them 1 days than I used to. 1, 2 days instead of 4, 5, 6. Y'all know I used to be in there. Man. Anywho. As always, I appreciate everyone who pulled up. Um, you can hit the Cash App if you like. Of course, that is not the most important thing over here. The most important thing over here is to hit the like button, share, and subscribe because what? Sharing is caring. I hope I said something today that resonates with you. If not, and you already got that, you knew that, hey, find somebody else that need it. You know what I mean? Like I said, sharing is caring. Send it to your home girl. Um, we all need to know that God hears us, and I think that was the whole point of everything I talked about today. Yes, my story, but the 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 blessing in it all is that God hears us and he answers. He hears us and he answers. So I think if we talk to him by faith, he answers according to our faith. You know, my girl want this, I'm gonna give it to her. My boy want this, I'm gonna give it to him. And that feels good in life. You know what I mean? When you can ask God for something and then he show up and do it, you're like, oh yes, I remember those that been away. And if he don't answer, you still gotta say, oh yes, I remember. He don't want me to have that, or it's not the time. Yeah, we gotta keep it a buck with ourselves. You know what I mean? Even your parents didn't give you everything you asked for because they knew it wasn't going to be a good look for you. So therefore, we got to trust that God knows best for us. So either we're not asking for enough or we asking for something that he just doesn't want us to have. And we got to be okay with that. Just because we want it don't mean we got to have it. But I think for the most part, when it's something good and if it can point to some glory for him, you'll get it. Your adversity has given you diversity. Word, Gary Brown. I agree. And I'm looking forward to what's ahead. You know what I'm saying? I don't go see Chris Brown in October. Don't nobody in the house know I'm going yet. So probably gonna see a man have a baby for the first time, but he'll be okay. Real quick. Nah, my honey ain't like that. He's gonna be good. But yeah, man, all is well, and I'm glad to see some of y'all today. And yeah, I'm gonna get ready to get up out of here. I pray that God blesses each and every one of you that are here right now, every one of you that came that's not here anymore, and everybody that may catch the replay. I pray that He gives you the same revelations that I have gotten. I hope that you begin to be more specific in your prayers so that you can get the specific answers. I pray that your children are covered, that God blesses them with early wisdom so that they don't have to learn like we learned the hard way. I pray that your businesses are blessed. I pray for paycheck raises. Whatever it is my people need, Lord, I thank you for it right now in advance. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. And I'm out of here. I'll be back one day. Bye.